Hey, bestie boo, you want a story time before I go to bed? All right, so go get your snack. Now, this story is kind of wild. So, boom, there's this couple. Let's call them Jason and Mia. So, if you know what Jason and Mia, tag them. Jason and Mia do a camping trip every winter, right? And so, this year, well, not this year, but the year that they chose, they look for a cabin on Airbnb. They found one, they paid the money and everything. Everything is good. So, the date comes, they drive out, they go on the trip. And on the Airbnb app, there is instructions. You know how there's instructions on how to open the door? The cabin was old, but not really that old. But it wasn't new enough for it to have the code on the door. So on the Airbnb app, it said that there will be a key and a lockbox, right? So when they get there, they check the lockbox, but there's no key in there. So they message the Airbnb owner hey, there's no key in the lockbox. So the owner's like, oh shoot, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna send my grandma to give you guys a key. So they're standing there waiting, and while they're waiting, they're looking around the properties and stuff. And the property looks just like the picture, and this seems like it's going to be very fun, right? So as they're waiting, an older lady comes up to them and hands them the keys. And this old lady had a very unsettling, wide-ass smile. She was just grinning very hard for no reason. But whatever, they look past that, they get the keys, they go inside. When they get inside, the first thing that Mia noticed is that there's a weird, musty smell to the house, right? It's not too bad, but it's very much lingering. And so Mia says something about it, and Jason is like, oh, I mean, it is a cabin. Sometimes that just comes with it. Oh my God, I'm doing bad. I forgot to tell y'all the most important part. When they were about to walk in, after the old lady gave them the key, the old lady told them that there was a door. There was a door with an iron keyhole, and the lady told them, whatever you do, do not open that door. Do not go through that door. Please respect that. So naturally, when they got inside, the first thing that they went to do is look for that door that she was talking about. Not because they want to open it, but because they want to know which door they're not supposed to go through. So Mia tells Jason, I wonder why we can't go through the door. And Jason is like, maybe it's a storage closet for the Airbnb full of supplies and stuff. So she's like, oh, okay, cool. I think it's that door right there because it's the only door with an iron keyhole. So as soon as they find the door, they know which door not to touch, right? So they unpack, they're starting to get a little comfortable, and they settled for the night. They had brought a bottle of wine, they opened the bottle of wine, they just, played games, drunk some wine, and went to bed. As soon as they go to bed, strange things started to happen. The first thing that happened was that they started hearing tapping noises. They couldn't figure out where it was coming from, but they kept hearing tapping noises. So Mia brought it to Jason's attention, and Jason is like, oh, it's probably a tree branch or something. We are in a cabin. And Mia's like, yeah, you're probably right. Let me go check it out. So Mia is looking at all the windows and everywhere that a tree branch could be tapping, and she can't find no tree branch tapping into anything. And as much as she tries to follow the noise, it just she couldn't find the noise, but she's hearing it. So she goes back to bed and she tells Jason, and Jason's like, well, it's an old house. It's a cabin. There's going to be creeks and stuff. Once again, she's like, yeah, you're right. So they go to bed. She wakes up in the middle of the night because she looked at the time and it was indeed 3 a.m. She woke up because she's hearing somebody crying. So she's super creeped out. So she tries to wake Jason up, but Jason is all groggy and half asleep because of the wine and stuff like that. So he's not even really trying to hear what she's saying. He's just worried about sleeping. So she gets up and she's like, I'm going to go find out where this crying noise is coming from. And turns out it's coming from that door that they're not supposed to go through. So this is giving major red flags. So she runs back to her room. She locks their room door and she stays up all night because she couldn't sleep after that. So in the morning, when Jason wakes up and Jason is finally clear-headed, she tells him about what happened. Jason thinks she's being a little dramatic because they're in the woods. There's going to be noises and stuff. But they decide to hit up the Airbnb host anyway to let them know. And they ask him or her, the host, they asked them, is there somebody in that door that the old lady told us not to go through? The Airbnb host completely stopped responding. They waited and waited, they stopped responding. So they go on about their day. And as they're going on about their day, they see that old lady that, gave them the key. And they mentioned it to the old lady. They mentioned the weird tapping noise and the crying. And immediately, you could tell the old lady's face changed. Her face got so serious. And she told them, do not go near that door. Don't talk to that door. Don't do anything with that door. Don't go near it. Jason's like, all right, ma'am, thank you. But Mia's like, what the hell? Why do you have an Airbnb where I understand having things put away, but this is starting to be really creepy. But Mia wasn't trying to be a Karen, so she didn't say too much about it, but it didn't sit right with her. So boom, night 2. They go to sleep. Mia's on 10, but they go to sleep because she's trying to she's trying to gaslight herself into thinking that she's being dramatic. She made sure that they didn't drink before they went to sleep. And guess what happened? they got woken up by the same tapping noise, except the tapping noise wasn't just tapping anymore. It was full on like tapping. And this time they could tell where it was coming from. It was coming from that door. So this time Jason is wide awake. So he's starting to be creeped out too. He grabs a flashlight and he goes to the door and he like yells out, "This isn't funny." Because at this point, the Airbnb host is still not responding. So Jason is like, "This isn't funny anymore. Like, this is not funny. Y'all are playing, if there's somebody playing a joke, it's not funny." After he says that, he doesn't hear anything. The tapping stops. So he gets a little closer to the door and he like puts his ear to the door so he could like see if he can hear somebody shuffling in there, whoever's trying to play this prank on him. So he puts his ear to the door to try to hear something or somebody, and he doesn't hear anything. So he's like, okay, if this was a prank, then I think they get the idea. At this point, Mia's like, "I want to leave. I don't want to stay here anymore. Like, I want to leave." So Jason is like, "Let's just go back to the room," right? So as they start walking away, as soon as they're about to open the room door to go in there, the door starts rattling. And this time, it wasn't like, it was violent. The door is like rattling. And at the same time that the door is rattling, it's like they hear nails going against like the inside of the door. So the doorknob is rattling and the nail is going across the thing at the same time. So at this point, they start panicking, right? And at this point, it's like, this isn't even a joke anymore. So they run to the room. They quickly pack up their stuff. They try to take, because they didn't unpack too much. So whatever they had out of their bags, they tried to pack everything up. They grabbed the car keys and they ran to the car. They get in the car, they start the car, and they immediately drive away. As they're driving away, Jason looks in the rearview mirror and see that old lady standing there, except she was standing there with a little boy next to her. And they were standing so creepy, like they were just standing there watching them drive away. So when they get to a good enough distance, they pull over to like a gas station and they call 911. They call 911, they tell 911 about the weird things because they don't know at this point. They're thinking paranormal, but they're also thinking like there could be somebody trapped in there. There's something. So they call 911, and after they call 911, they go back to the Airbnb app to try to see if they can get in contact with the host again. Except this time, the whole thing is gone. The house, the listing, the chat, everything is gone. So at this point, Mia is dead ass like, is this happening right now? Is this like, am I going crazy? Are we going through a manic episode right now? So part of the reason why she went to the Airbnb app was because she was on the phone with the 911 operator. She wanted to give the 911 operator the exact address to the Airbnb so that they can be able to go there. So once she went on the Airbnb app and couldn't find it, she told the operator that, but she was able to like give the operator like directions and stuff like that. And the operator was still having issues, so the operator just sent an officer to where they're at, and they drove back with the officer to show them where the Airbnb was. Y'all, why, when they drove back with the cops, the Airbnb that they stayed at is a whole freaking abandoned house? At this point, they feel like they're going nuts. The cops are looking at them crazy. The cops are like, are y'all okay? Do y'all need help? Like, are you guys okay to drive? So they had to like, there's nothing they could do. There's nothing the cops could do. So they had to go back home with that. Mind you, that drive was long. So during the drive home, they're like doing research on that exact like place. Turns out that house was burned down in 1913, and there was an old lady and a little boy in the house that had passed away. Mia and Jason never found out how they ended up in a house that didn't exist, and they also never again booked an Airbnb. They were freaking traumatized.